today we are here with the Tipsy Lemon.
Hello.
And
Hi.
Karissa is joining us, and she made us these beautiful drinks. So tell us a
We
little
always,
bit.
our favorite people have on is the ones that bring us drinks.
Yeah.
Well, hello. I'm here. I'll be here tomorrow. What are you guys doing Friday?
She's just going to
this
be like on
weekend?
repeat. It's okay.
I definitely would. Don't
I
tell
love
me
it.
that.
I
Ask my
love it.
husband.
I'm excited.
These look really good.
So tell us about these drinks.
So I have an old fashioned for Brian,
Okay.
and then I made you a classic margarita.
So our favorite drinks. So
Yeah,
thank
pretty
you.
much.
We appreciate that. They look delicious. I love the glasses you have too.
Oh, thank you, Goodwill, because I always go there and I'm thrifting
Seriously.
glasses. My husband's like, why do you have more glasses? And they're all mismatched and different.
I
Love them,
it.
though.
I love it. So tell us about the Tipsy Lemon.
Well, I'm
Dive
like,
right
let's
in.
see where we started. I actually nannied for my business partner.
Oh, nice.
And we were always like, okay, we want to go into business together. What do we want to do? And I just started like, cheers, clink. And we were just thinking of ideas, randomest thing. And I was watching Netflix and I saw, what was it called? Marriage or Mortgage. Have you guys seen that at all?
No.
It is awesome.
I've
You'd
seen
think
that.
being in real estate, I would have
Yes,
seen
it
something like
is.
that.
It is. So, like, couples have to pick between either a house or a wedding, what they want to put money into.
Got it.
And these two friends, so one's offering like houses and the other one's trying to bribe them into getting a wedding. So it's like, which path do they want to go with?
So is one like a wedding planner and one's
Yes.
like a realtor? Okay,
it's
got
like
it, got
it's
it.
so much fun. I was like so into it, and I'm like, come on, guys, why wouldn't you pick a house? Like,
Yeah.
come on, like weddings are awesome
This is
and
like all,
all, but
ultimate wedding. This girl like wants or
Yeah.
something. Okay.
teach their own. But I was like looking at it, and one of the girls was, she. What was it? A flower cart. And then I started looking into it because I'm like, this is so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know there was a whole bar world. Like, there's so many mobile bars. And
What do you mean bar world? Like,
Oh
is
my
it,
gosh. They're like all over. Mobile bars are like a huge thing. I didn't even know this. And this was like shortly after the pandemic. Like, still kind of like looking into things and,
Because it's outside, right?
Yeah. So that's one thing I was like, with the pandemic and all, people are still keeping distance, but, there was weddings and still going on, of course, a lot smaller than what people would
Yeah.
actually want. But with time, like we kind of looked into it and I shared this idea with my business partner at the time. And she was like, let's do it. And like, we even opened like a bottle and we're like, this is what we're going to do. Like,
amazing.
we just love the idea, but we literally didn't know where we were going with it. It was just the idea that we're like, we finally know what we're going to go into business
Yeah.
for. Like, we're so stoked. And we bought from previous owners that had already done the hard work of building it out and doing all that stuff.
So like you bought your trailer and all your
Yes,
supply.
it was
Okay.
already like built out. It was like so awesome. And, we like reached out to them because we wanted to see, kind of how it worked and everything.
Yeah.
And we showed up to a Mother's Day event. Oh my gosh, we were sold. We're like, we're getting it, yes. And there we go again, like
Wow.
cheersing, like, yes, it's gonna be ours.
Ever had any bartending experience going into it?
No,
That was
none
gonna
at
be my
all.
question. Like, do you have a
Yeah.
background in bartending or?
I used to drink back in the day, but no bartending experience. I would
home
just whip things
bartending?
up, and everyone's like, "These are so good." It's like so sweet, but then all of a sudden you're like, "Okay, I'm feeling it," Yeah, but no bartending experience.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's so much fun because I feel like with these events and what we offer, it's so easy because it's like, you get to select what drinks. It's not like I'm like, oh, what is that? I don't know what
Yeah.
that is.
So like when you go to these events, do you have
Yeah.
like a predetermined list? Like do people pick the list beforehand and then you
Yes.
bring everything for it? Or tell me about that.
Yeah, so what we typically do is people go ahead and message us, kind of get an inquiry, see what they want.
Yeah.
And we have like, our packages are easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I
So
saw that. It was
I love
it's
it.
the cutest website ever.
It's so
Oh my goodness, I
awesome.
love it.
Yes, we got it totally redone last year. A friend did it for me. And oh my gosh, I feel like now we're in the competition. I feel like, we're
Okay.
just like, now we're more classy. Like it looks so much better than what it used to look like. And I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And, our easy package is just, our clients would go ahead and provide beer and wine. The second one, we add on the 2 signature cocktails, and then we go on to lemon. I'm like, where am I at?
Easy peasy lemon.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do that all the time, and I'm like, okay, I'm on this one. And then lemon is where we would provide the beer and wine, and then the next one, squeezy, we
Yeah.
would go ahead and add on the 2 cocktails. And we have like a cocktail list, but there are so many cocktails that sometimes I'm like, what is this? I
Yeah.
forgot what it was. They're from the East Coast, and it was a cranberry. Was it cranberry? I'm trying to think. No, it was grapefruit and vodka. And I was like, not grapefruit. What was it? I can't think of the fruit now. I'm like, well, yeah, no, it was grapefruit.
Okay.
Was it grape? Grape juice. That's
Grape
what it was.
juice.
Grape juice. Yeah. It
You're
was
like,
grape
grapefruit
juice.
doesn't
I'm like
sound
that.
weird
No,
enough.
I'm like, I'm not picturing the same color. Yeah.
Wait, grape juice and vodka?
Yes. And I'm like, that was so
Interesting
weird. But from the
combo.
East Coast, they're like, no, this is such a thing. And
That sounds like something we'd make as teenagers.
yeah,
I'd be
you
like,
see,
oh,
just like
a little
throwing
bit
things
grape
together.
juice,
What do you
a little bit
have?
vodka.
Yeah, but it's like so cool. Like I forgot what they called it, but I was like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of this. Like
Yeah.
grape
Is it
juice.
good?
It was all right, but like I'd rather taste like cranberry juice because it's more like citrusy.
Yeah.
I love that. But yeah, when people tell me things, I'm like, oh my god, never heard that. It's okay, I'll figure it out. Oh my gosh, you go on Pinterest, you start Googling, and there are so many ways of making one cocktail.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I've tried to Google, like, how do you make, like, the best classic margarita? And it's,
Oh my
like,
God. Yeah.
49 options. I'm like, really?
Here you go.
Come on.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so how many years have you been in business now? I know you said you
Oh my
started during
gosh,
the
it's crazy.
pandemic.
I want to say about 4 years, 4 or
4
5
years.
years we've
Okay.
taken over. Yeah.
So how'd you come up with your name?
It was already like with the business.
Oh, was
and
it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's crazy.
the name was already with the business, and it was so nice because when we started, we took on with their clients that they already had lined up in Central Oregon.
Okay.
So we just went to a bar mitzvah, went to all these different weddings, and it was just so awesome. Like a bar mitzvah. Like I was so excited for this bar mitzvah. I'm like, this kid wanted virgin daiquiris and he got it. I'm like, yes. I was so excited. It was so much fun. And I'm just like observing everything. I'm like, this is so cool.
I
It was
love
so
it.
awesome.
And then you brought it down to the valley.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's one thing we were contemplating was staying in Central Oregon, but
Yeah.
we were doing that drive and it was just so draining.
Yeah.
Like,
So were you living here?
Yeah.
And going over there for the event? Okay.
yeah. So we had about like 10, 12 events that year when we first bought because they already had those clients lined up. So we were doing the drive. I was like so exhausted because we would get there 2 hours beforehand and then we're setting everything up.
Yeah.
And then, you're cleaning up and tearing down and you're just like moving so slow at that point because you're
Yeah.
so tired. And then, okay, let's drive another 2.5 hours,
know.
which felt like forever to get home. But it's so much fun. At first, it's like, it's so nerve wracking and putting like numbers together and all that, like, because with starting it, once we have a client that wants to move forward with us, it's so much fun. But
Yeah.
the part I don't like, like, so boring, is like doing the calculations for like
Oh, okay.
your guest
Ah.
count. So, we're going to have 150 guests. I'm like, okay, well now I'm like, okay, you need to give us percentages, which people like beer versus wine and cocktails. And
Because no one ever wants one around out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so scary. Like, it's a scary thing. That's one thing I think I always freak out about. I was telling you
Yeah.
earlier, like, oh my gosh, like my worst fear is to run out. Like,
Have you ever ran out, like,
Oh
for
my-
any event?
for wine, it was so close, but because they had a lot of guests, but they loved alcohol. Who doesn't? It's free,
Yeah.
And thank goodness we're at the Gorge.
Okay.
Yeah, at the Griffin House. And I told the person that was with me, I'm like, I need you to go to Safeway, go get this kind of wine. I know they have it there, and she like ran over there and I ended up having like all these extra bottles because, it looked like it was going to run out fast,
Yeah.
but it's always that first rush where everyone just
Got it.
comes.
And you panic a little bit, like,
I am always panic mode. Like
Yeah.
that first rush, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what I'm doing. My brain's like going, but my body's like, no, I'm so stiff, I can't move.
It's always better to have someone else worry about this at your event than
Yeah.
having to do it yourself. When we got married,
oh.
Carrie's dad, I was getting ready to, we had the music going and she was
Yeah.
about ready to walk down the aisle. And he's like, so how are you tap this keg for later?
Yeah.
And he was worried about trying to get this keg.
No,
opened
it
up.
wasn't him. They wanted him to move him. Remember, the bartender came over that was in charge of
Oh, yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and right as I was getting ready to, like, we were moving forward, all of a sudden they were like, we need all of these kegs moved. And my dad was like, what? And he's like, we need all of these kegs moved over there. And we're like, why? And they're like, because it has to be, and something about it had to be within like certain reach or eyesight of the bartender. And it was like none of these were even tapped yet or anything. And so
Oh
my dad had to be like, hold on, I'm coming. And like, I think he grabbed like my cousin and one other person. They're like trying to move these kegs. Really
They're
quick.
so
and I'm standing
heavy.
there like, what is happening? What is it? Like, we're supposed to be getting married. What's
Yeah, you're
happening?
like,
start the music over.
we're redoing this all, okay?
Yeah.
But I was like, sorry, my dad had to move some kegs really quick.
Yeah.
So
I get that. Like, that's one thing that freaks me out. That's why I like to get there early for that
Yeah.
reason. Or, if we're supposed to move or if we don't fit in a spot, like, it gets so nerve-wracking. Like, I love what I do, but once we're, like, set in and we're, like, an hour in, then I'm good.
then
I'm
you
still,
can,
like, nervous.
take a breath and relax a little bit.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I love it. So
Yeah.
how many do you do, like, how many would you say you do a year? How many events?
Events, I want to say anywhere between right now, because we're kind of contemplating on selling and kind of how that
Are
was
you
going to
really?
work. Last year,
Okay.
I ended up buying out my business partner.
Got it.
Yeah, so I'm like,
So you're
full
all
throttle.
in.
Yes.
Okay, got
like,
it.
and I love it. It's so much fun, and it's a lot with your business, like sweat and tears. Like when people say that, I'm like, I don't get it. And now I'm like, I will cry. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like ugly
Mhm.
crying, and my
And
husband's
it's
like,
all on you. too.
yeah.
It's like
Now
you're
I'm
gonna
like,
do great or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I tell my husband, I'm like, it's so much. I get so overwhelmed. And he's like, you see, you need to cry. It's good for you to cry. I'm like, no, not for this. This is bad stress. This is different. Like, I don't like to cry.
I love it.
Yeah. But, it's fun. But at the same time, you get those clients that want more and more. And it's like, okay, at some point you need to like cut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want to be, and it's hard for me because I'm that person that's like, I'm a giver. I'm like, yes, what do you want? What
Yeah.
else? Yes, let's do it. And then I'm like, oh wait, I have to remember, like,
I'm running a business.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not.
I have to make a profit.
Yes, I'm not an employee anymore. I'm like, this is mine now. I'm like, oh wait, I can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, like, what do I do now?
So do you handle all the back end stuff?
Yeah.
Or so you do it all?
Yeah, I'm like
And-
full throttle with all of it.
I love it.
Yes.
That's awesome. So when people kind of walk me through the process, so if somebody finds you, do they just Google like mobile bar or?
Yeah, mobile bar. Or,
I mean, that's how I found you.
Yeah, I'm glad you found me. There's like so many mobile bars, so I think a lot of it is like word to mouth,
Okay.
and like my referrals are mainly from other vendors that we've worked with.
Okay.
Okay.
And I love vendors. Like, I want to be everyone's friend. That's the problem. Is like with my clients, I'm like, let's be best friends,
Yeah.
But
Especially with some of you work, it's they're going to be smooth because if
Yes.
someone's off at a wedding, then it
Mhm.
kind of throws everybody else off. And
I've had a wedding like that once, and like it was a wedding coordinator. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I felt so awkward because everyone's typically happy and like like we're all excited because we're a part of this,
Yeah.
like for someone to make someone's day, and I was like, oh okay, like oh my god, I felt like a kid, like a student, like because she's like, oh just park it over there. I'm like, over there can be many places. I'm like,
So like where exactly?
yeah, exactly. Because it can be like just that little bit of like, no, you need to go another foot forward or a foot behind,
Yeah.
or being in someone's way. But typically, I love what I do now as far as like the mobile bar because, I'm my own boss. Like
Yeah.
I've always
you've
wanted
done
to.
it a couple times now.
Yeah,
so
like
you know what you're doing.
Yes, and I love it because I'm like, now I'm my own boss. Like, not that I don't listen to people. Like, I'll take your advice if
Yeah.
I'm asking for it, or if someone's giving me good input. But I love that I'm running it now, and even though it's hard for me to say no, but like I could do things the way I want to do
Yeah.
them, and it's weird because I typically never say no. So I'm still working on that one.
You're still working.
Yeah,
on it. It's like
yeah.
it's like a muscle. You got to work a little bit.
It's
to-
so
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the confidence as you keep
Yeah.
going, your confidence goes up,
Yep.
and you're going to be telling them, "Here's where I'm parking, and or else I'm driving away."
Yeah.
You're gonna like start calling.
I'm
the
like
shots
waiting
with it.
for
Like,
that. You
so
have
here's
no
how this is
idea.
gonna go. I'm gonna give you my list, and you're gonna go down. And
Yes.
here's my punch list with everything.
With
and then-
things like that, I've noticed I add more to my contracts. I'm like, we're not doing that. This isn't happening. Like, I'm like,
Okay.
I didn't think about that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, all these little things I see from like where we started, where it's just like, okay, there's the date. This is the client. Like, this is what we're doing. I'm like, oh gosh, no, we need to put all these other things in there. Like, oh my God, what if something happens,
Do you ever have have you ever had anybody like try to come in and be like, let me help you? Like, make the
Once or
drinks?
twice.
Really?
Yeah, but I feel like this event that happened, we were told like 115 guests. Week of wedding was 150. And we get there and it looked like there was 200 people.
Wow.
And I was like freaking out, but they went with the package of, them providing the alcohol. So it's like we see all this alcohol and there was not 2 to 3 or like wines. There was like 12 to 15. And I'm like, my anxiety was through the roof.
no.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's only 2 pair of hands here. Like it was me and a friend. And I'm like, we did not plan for this. We were just like going through, we had no break. That was like my nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I went through it. Now I know what to plan for if this happens next time. Like, no, we cannot do all these options. And that's the problem is I don't know how to say no.
So do you let people, like now, if we were to call you and be like, hey,
Yeah.
we want you to come to this event, we're going to provide everything. What's that conversation you have with us?
Okay. I'm like, let me see. Like, what's your vibe? No, I'm just kidding.
Do I like you? Do I even want to come?
Are you too needy? Like, are you
sound
chill?
high maintenance.
Do you kind of base it off the type of event? Like, it's going to be a wedding, so I know this is going to be kind of,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. Here's how many guests we're probably end up going to get out of it.
Yeah. So typically with that, like, with the, I'm trying to think. I'm like, brain fart here. What they send in, the inquiry that they send in, it tells you like, okay, what's the event? When's your date? Like, how many people roughly? What package you're interested in? Do you want our standalone bar? Do you want the trailer? And then from there, we
I forgot you have a standalone bar too.
Yes.
Not just a trailer.
It's so nice. I'm like, we haven't really like rented it out a lot. I'm like, no, it's here, guys. Like, please rent it out. Like, it's just standing in my garage. And my husband's like,
can you do both at once? I mean,
we can. Yeah, we've done that before. At the gorge.
Probably helps with traffic
yes,
flow too.
Yes, it does. It's so nice.
So do you have like mixed drinks at one and like beer and wine at the other?
Yeah, that's what I like to do. Just because at the trailer, it's so nice. Like, I can make my mess at the like on the bottom sometimes. Like the garbage is like overflowing. I'm like, okay, we need to take that out. I'm like, we don't have time right now. But it's like nobody can see it. So it's so nice. Yeah. So that's one thing I like about the bar. The trailer versus the bar. But typically that inquiry looks like how many people are going to be attending, and it kind of gives us an idea, and there's a place where people can put like a message in there, and they'll just tell us like, we're getting married on this date, like we hope to get like some prices from you, and we kind of go from there and what they want. And okay, after they select a package, what we'll do is go ahead and move forward. We're sending you a cocktail list, our contract, the first invoice, non-refundable deposit kind of deal.
Yeah.
So you carry your own license for this, or?
So we always apply for a temporary sales license.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a temporary sales license?
For you to be able to like sell like your merchandise and stuff. Typically, like when you go to like public events and stuff, that's what we have to do.
So, and that covers alcohol then too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a blanket coverage for the year, like anywhere you go sort of thing.
That would be the liquor license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
learning so much.
So you have a liquor license and you got to do this other.
So we don't have the liquor license. I don't really know the ropes around that. Sometimes when you call like the state, they don't really help you a lot. Like,
oh no.
Yeah. I'm like, what about this? And they kind of like go around your question. I'm like, oh, that's not getting answered. I'm like, okay, thanks. So, I'm a part of this mobile bar community, like here in the PNW, and I love it. Like, we can ask each other questions, and everyone's just so helpful. Or if someone has a date booked, they go ahead and like, hey, if anyone has who's available on this date, and everyone just messages like whoever might have it available or not.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
It's so awesome. Like, typically when I first started doing this, I'm like, it's like, okay, how do you go about it?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many mobile bars, and it's like, yeah, it's competition, but at the same time, you rather be on good terms with everyone else in this industry.
So that whole community over competition thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that, because at first I was like, oh, competition, like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy, but in reality, I'm like, no, because if you need help, who else are you going to reach out to?
Mm-hmm.
And now I've like opened my eyes, like being a part of this mobile bar community, like how they've like helped so much. And like, it's like, hey, does someone have a question? Or, like if you just need advice with things, like they're so awesome and like opened.
So you get like best practices type things.
Oh, 100%. And like people have gone through certain things. Like if we're like, okay, like someone wants us, I think someone had asked on there, like, there's someone that wants us for like 10 hours. And I'm like, oh gosh. And someone's like, no, don't do it, but we're giving advice. And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, wait, I didn't think about like, all those people that might be like drunk. I'm thinking like maybe like a mimosa time. That's what I was thinking in the morning, and then maybe transitioning to something else a little later. But after thinking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that person was probably right. Like 10 hours, like absolutely not.
What kind of event would you have for 10 hours?
No, it was a wedding. I think it was a wedding.
A 10-hour wedding?
I know. I was like,
that's insane.
Are you trying to break this down into 2 days? Like, I was just confused with it.
I'm like, what would you do for 10 hours that you needed?
I know, right? Like, how do you handle
unless you're
it?
having like a big event that there's going to be like rotations of people coming through.
You see, that would be different. Yeah. But like, you can just ask away in that.
We went to an auction once, and the drinks are awesome, but it was like middle of the summer, and they didn't realize how much alcohol they put in them.
They just put a normal amount in, but everybody, it was like
everybody was so
get the
like,
water.
They were just drinking like
water.
water.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. And then all of a sudden, it's like it hit everybody all at once. I remember sitting down with my mom, and I took like a drink of it, and I was like, oh, I can't have more than one of these. And she goes, why? I'm like, because it's really
I'm
hot
feeling
out
it.
here. And I get like, as soon as, it's one of those ones, as soon as you took a drink, it was like, it just kind of punched you in the face.
Yeah.
And
oh
so I
my-
was like, oh my goodness.
I
But so
would
many
be
people were
freaking
like,
out.
yeah, they
People were,
still
like,
talk about
passing
that.
out. I mean, it was just,
No.
you know, stumbling out of
It
the.
was crazy.
I would be
Yeah,
so freaked out as like the owner of that like
Mhm.
bar or whatever it was, because it's like, are we able to, like, that wasn't on us. Like, it's the weather. The
Just
weather
drive
is out of
really
our
fast.
control. Yeah.
Pack up and drive.
We're leaving.
We
Let's
gotta
go.
go. We gotta go. Our contract says we leave now.
Yeah. We're closing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's a good question. Have you ever had to be like, man, we're done? Like,
No. I'm like, that's
Okay.
one thing. Like, it's hard because I like to be a fun person and like,
yeah.
you know, like I said, I'm not joking when I say I want to be friends with all these like guests.
Yeah.
Like all of their guests, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cool. Like they're saying they're from like Colorado. Like they come from all over, like for these people. And I'm like, dude, these people are awesome. Like I'd want them to be my friends because
Yeah.
they're gonna ride for you. You know, they're here, like East Coast. It's so awesome. And I'm like, okay, can I be friends? And my husband always has to remind me, like,
This is your business.
yeah, like stop. I know you want to be friends with everyone, but stop. And I'm like, okay, sorry. Like I'm like, they're so cool though. And I'm
I
like,
know.
maybe it's the alcohol speaking too, though. You know, I'm over here thinking they're so cool. Like,
I don't, because I'm the same way, like, with my clients. Like, I always joke, like, okay, you're coming to Christmas now. Like, just
Yeah.
because I just want to, like, I love the people I work with. So
That's
it's
how I'm
great
like.
when you, like, enjoy the people that you get to do business
Yes.
with. So I think it just makes it even
100%.
better.
But that's one thing that's like, okay, it makes it hard when you do have to cut someone off, which we haven't had to do.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know who to keep an eye on. You see,
I would
and that's
have-
the thing, like, when we were like, yeah, let's do this business, we're like, this is gonna be so awesome. And then we had to do like our serving permit. Like, we're like, oh, this is gonna be easy. Like, it just tells you, and they're like, you have to cut people off. Like, what's an MVP? Like,
What's an MVP?
or no,
Yeah,
VIP, a visually intoxicated person.
VIP,
I'm like,
I thought.
yeah.
I want to be
Yeah,
a
I
VIP.
wanna be a VIP.
I know, right? Like, it's
So
a
like, that's for
VIP.
the
Yeah.
VIPs.
Like they said,
Like,
a
no, that's a
visual.
bad thing.
Yeah, I'm like a VIP. So now I'm like, I'll look out and I'm like, where's the VIP? Where's it? Like, where are they? I'm like, okay, we're good. No VIPs. I'm good with that. I don't
You're
want
like, I got
them.
eyes
No,
on
you
everybody.
don't want to be that. Yeah, like, and that's what we're always looking for. I'm like, no VIPs. I'm
As
like,
long as you
no.
can't see the dance floor. You're
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
That's where all the VIPs are.
That's funny. So what is one thing when you started this business? What's one thing that you kind of didn't anticipate that you ran into? I feel like that's kind of a loaded question.
I
but-
know. Honestly, I think with us bringing it here to Salem,
Yeah.
love that we did that. But I don't think we knew how to market it because it was so like, it was such a, had a big name going for itself in Central Oregon. And,
Yeah.
you know, now that
Do you still get booked over there?
we do. And
Okay.
I don't say no, but it's like adding on a travel fee. There we go again. I
I
don't say no. But like adding on a travel fee. So it's like, you know, people, there's mobile bars over there, you know, and I know I've made friends with like people that live over there and that have mobile bars. And I always like refer them to those people. But the drive and like I said, the marketing with like putting ourselves out there here,
Mhm.
I'm like, how do you do that without having to spend like a whole bunch of money? And I think it's more of just like attending places, you know, going
Like
to like
networking.
yes,
Mhm.
and like going to like boutiques or just like if someone has a bulletin board, like posting it up there. But you know, I
There's
was
like wedding showcase places.
yeah, I've done a wedding showcase
Yeah.
Isn't there one
actually.
here in Salem? There's
Probably.
a Salem. So Brian and I years ago, before he got into like the real estate photography stuff, we
Yeah.
had a mobile photo booth, and so we would go to these events.
That's so awesome.
And we would load up our trailer and drive anywhere. And
Yeah.
so, like, on New Year's Eve, we were hanging out with
That's
all
so
the
cool.
people that were at some New Year's Eve party, and people were
I
like,
think I think the end of it was like we had to go to Newport Seafood Wine Fest.
Oh,
It was freezing. It was freezing cold. We
what
actually
time
had
of the
my
year was this?
February. Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
just
Uh-huh.
finished the
Yeah.
Seafood
Yeah.
Wine Fest. Yeah.
on the coast. It's freezing cold.
Is it
plus,
Newport?
Yeah.
Wasn't that where it was at? Yeah.
Open air tent. That
Yeah.
type of thing.
Oh,
So
But-
we had this little light ring that and it had like LED lights on it, so it puts out like zero heat, but it was so cold you could feel just like the tiny bit of heat. So in
That
between
is
shoots,
so
I was up
funny.
there like putting my cheek up, and I'm like, nobody talk to me for a minute, and I'm like trying to go around the
You're
whole
like, I'm
thing
gonna
to get
close it real quick.
Oh,
Let me just.
I don't think I've ever been that cold.
Yeah.
Like ever.
That is
ever again. I remember we
crazy.
got pulled over one time coming back from. We had a New Year's Eve party in Washington that we were doing for a company.
Oh, okay.
And so we're coming back. It's like 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
We're starving. We can't find any place to eat. I think we pulled
I
over
know
like
that
a
feeling.
Burger King.
And
Yeah.
everything's drive through only. We're pulling a trailer. It's like,
Yeah.
we can't even fit.
Yeah, we can't even like,
I
and it's
would've
like
totally
you can't
gone
walk
down.
up there at
Oh,
all.
I would've-
So we
Guilty.
get pulled over, I think, in Woodburn, and the police officer's like, so what are you doing? And we're like, we just came back from working a New Year's Eve event. He's like, just go. Just go. And he just let us go. He was like, we deal with New Year's Eve people all the time. Just go. I'm sorry.
You're
go
like,
to bed.
Can you order for me, actually?
I
Let's
know.
go back.
I was like, I'm sorry. Was I speeding? I'm just trying to get home.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So I do not miss that.
No, we don't miss that at all.
It's funny that you say that because my business partner, like, once I bought her out, she's like, honestly, I don't miss it. I don't miss it because I'll call her and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Or, like, I'll ask her advice and she's like, oh, you see, I don't miss it. This
Yeah,
makes me
I don't
feel
miss
so
any of
relieved. And
that.
I'm like, I know. I'm like, I want that feeling sometimes, but I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, I'll just keep stressing out.
It's
It's
a
okay.
personality
Yeah.
thing. I
Yeah.
mean, we like to go enjoy it and be part of the event.
Yep.
Maybe it's a little bit of the FOMO, fear of missing out. You know, everybody else is out having fun, and you're kind
Yeah.
of stuck back
Yeah.
working the event. I think that was maybe a little bit.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
when it was people you knew. So, like, you go to
Oh.
an event where there's people there that you know, and it's like you can't sit there and socialize with them. Like,
Mhm.
you got to be in work mode a
Yep.
little bit. So, yeah, I don't miss it though.
Now looking back on it.
Well, I still remember there was one event that there was a group of people, and it's just, I think, a little bit of over serving happened, and they come up to the entire backdrop that we have and crash just back into it.
No.
Not like just one time. This happened like multiple times, and it would like ruin our backdrop. We'd have to like set it back up, get everything all redone, then we'd open it back up, and then
They would go back in and do it
somebody
again.
else would do it again, and I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
This is insane.
That is
So-
your
So-
face says it all. I'm
Yeah.
looking at Ryan. I'm like, you're
Well,
like,
when you're one of the drunks, it's so fun and so funny to see that.
Uh-huh.
But when you're like stone cold sober, it's like, oh my god, you're dealing like 5-year-olds.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I know that feeling.
I
When
love
you
it.
like see the people or like when they're drinking and it's like a hot day and we're in the trailer and like the people that I have hired on, like they're like, oh my gosh, this drink looks so good. I'm like, you can't drink here on the job.
Yeah.
You know, or my
Not even
husband
think
goes
about it.
and he leans up on the counter. He's like, oh, that looks so good. And I'm like, don't even think about it. You're not touching.
you
You're
can't
not.
even
You're
sample
working.
the straw
Yeah.
like they do.
I'm like, you can't do that. He's like, I just need to see if it's good. I'm like, no, it's good.
There's
we
nobody
sampled
even
it
here
at
to
home.
serve. Like,
Yeah, like, well, for instance, like, I was looking up a lavender lemon drop, and I was on Pinterest, and I forgot what vodka brand, like, advertised for this. Like, their company actually made, like, the little video.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so good. And I made it. I'm like, this is going to be so easy to make. I tried. It was gross. It was the nastiest
I
thing I've
don't
ever
like it.
tasted.
I don't like lemon drop is like one of my favorite drinks, and every time they're like, "Do you want extra flavors?" I'm like, "No."
Well, it
No,
was like,
please don't.
it was a lavender one. So when they said, like, it tastes like lavender, I'm like, oh, let's try it. And I tried. I'm like, this is disgusting. I'm getting all these seeds in my mouth. It doesn't taste like lavender. I'm like, it's not infused at
I'm
all.
drinking a
What is
flower.
this?
What
It
am I
was gross. I was like spitting it out.
When we
What
went
is
to
this?
Mexico, we went to like one of the margarita and like
Yeah.
tequila
Oh,
tasting
yeah.
things, and you know they have all these different
Oh.
types of like
I couldn't do
margaritas,
it.
like flights that come out with, and she's I only like this one, so you're gonna have to have the rest. And so I got my 8, and then her
That
8.
was me. Yes, Carrie. You
Oh my
tell
gosh,
her.
seriously, I would take like a sip, and I'm like, "Mm-mm,"
Yep.
and I pass it to him. So by the end, Brian's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
I'm like,
That
"I'm
is
fine."
so funny. You see? Yep.
Yeah. So I think I'm a bit of a lightweight.
Yeah.
And
It's cheaper that way, though.
I know,
like,
right? You're
I'm that
welcome.
way, too. Hello.
You're
You're welcome. Yep.
She always orders the second one, and I
Yeah.
usually finish it off.
yeah,
there,
every
so.
time
Yeah,
I
it
order the
sounds
second
about
one, he's like,
right.
"Are you gonna drink it?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I get like 2 sips in, and I'm like,
You're like, it would
"I
have been.
need you to finish this for me."
It
And
would
he's
have been
like-
gone if there wasn't the ice in there, okay?
And he's always like, "Can we just make sure whatever your second drink that you order is going to be something like I want to drink because I know I'm going to have to drink it." So.
That is so funny.
I love old fashioned, so she
Yeah.
can just do that every
Yeah.
time.
See, and I do not. I do not.
I don't
so.
like them either. It's funny because me and Tara, my business partner at the time, like, we were doing old fashions, you know, because we were test trialing and we had her husband trying them. And he's like, no, you need to try, like, I would add this or add a little bit more of that. And we're like, okay, but we kept making, we probably had like 7 lined up for him. He's like, actually, the first one was pretty good. I just wanted more. I'm like, no, you didn't just take advantage of us like that. Yeah. And she's like, you shithead, really right now? And like, they're all lined up. And he's just like,
He's
he
like,
was
"But
just
now you have
chilling.
experience
Like,
with all of
yes,
them. You're welcome."
it was so funny. And even like with that lavender lemon drop, like, I'm like, okay, this does not taste like lavender. There's no infusion of lavender.
Mhm.
I was making simple syrup. I was going to different places, calling places, like, do you guys have lavender? Like, bunches of lavender.
Oh,
don't
like
think they
real
were-
lavender.
You
Yes.
were doing real lavender?
Wow.
Yes. So I was going
Oh.
around, like, everything we do, like, I do everything.
I thought it was like flavored syrup.
Yeah, they got-
you were
they
No,
got
using.
like,
syrup
I'm
out there.
making it myself, the
Oh.
flavored syrup.
Okay.
So when they, like, that's what I'm saying, like, when I was watching this video on Pinterest, it looks so cool because they're like, oh, the little splash of like little seeds of lavender, and then you muddle it, and then you add this and this. And I'm like, that looks so good.
And you take a lavender leaf and you kind of
Yeah.
roll it around the edge of the glass.
I was trying to
so
figure out which
gross.
vodka had seeds in it. I'm like, because
Yeah,
you said you were
no,
spitting
yeah.
seeds out. I'm like,
No.
sounds like a horrible business plan on their part.
No, it was like the video I saw. I'm like the tutorial, and I'm like, I'm gonna try that. It was gross.
Yeah.
So then I went calling all these places, going in, buying bunches from here and there to like infuse simple syrup. And I finally got it, but it took us so long to like infuse the simple syrup right for it to taste like lavender. And then we're like, okay, now let's try making this lemon drop. And like we actually got it to where it was so good. I'm not
Really?
yes.
Okay.
We're gonna have to we'll get
Okay.
you into it. I
Okay.
promise we will.
I'm
We'll
not
have you on
Yeah.
for a second time.
Yeah.
And we can bring
I'll
you
be
on.
Be like,
here.
here's our lavender lemon drops.
Yeah, but like I've learned from that, like just because it's on Pinterest and like a certain brand of like, liquor is making these videos does not mean it's always good. So now
It's a
I'm
lot
like,
of editing probably in the
yeah,
background.
but like I think it would taste good because it looks so cute and professionally done. And I'm like, nope. So now we try it every time. I'm like, I don't care what it is, we're trying it. Even though I've made it before.
Yeah.
I will still try it because I'm like so paranoid from that like video that I saw. I'm like, I am scarred by
Got
that
some
lavender.
PTSD
Yeah, I
from
do. I'm like the lavender lemon drop. PTSD,
We
no
made enough
joke.
for 200 people and it sucks.
Yeah. Imagine if I would have just showed up because I'm like, oh, this is a
Like, I could totally
name
do
brand.
this.
Oh my god, that would have been so embarrassing. End of the career right there. I'm
Be
selling.
like, we need our money back. Just get out. Just get out.
It's so true though. I was like so nervous, but now I'm like, I told my husband, we need more than just you and I because people's palates are all different.
Yeah.
So now like I used to work at Costco. So I'm like, all my Costco friends come over and we're like, okay, we're test trialing. They're like,
Oh, I bet they love you.
oh, they love it. They
Yeah.
love it. I'm like, I'm like, okay, what about this one? And this one, like, they'll tell me, hey, so what did you put in that, like, mule, the cucumber mule? I'm like, oh, girl, that's so simple. You just do this. Or the blackberry smash, like, so much fun. They love it. They really
Yeah.
do.
So you're learning a lot. So even though you have a background, you're getting on the
Yes,
side.
always. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm constantly learning with it. And even showing up at different events, like, I get so nervous. But I'm like, I get so happy, though, as well. I'm like, this is how I know I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
Because I go to events and like I'm hearing speeches and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, I literally have like tears.
You're like, I don't know these
Yeah.
people, but I'm just moved.
Yeah, my business partner was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, it's so beautiful, and I'm like crying and she's like, you don't know them. I'm like, I know, but it's
But
so
they made
beautiful,
it.
the love.
They made
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
She's the same way.
Yeah.
She's the same way.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
My
that.
husband, same thing. He's like, you don't know them. Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, it's so beautiful. I love
Just listen
love,
to the
okay?
story.
Yeah. It's so funny.
So what would you tell somebody if they were getting into the mobile bar business? What would be like?
I've actually had calls
Really?
for it. Yeah. Or
Okay.
like my friend from Central Oregon, Lacey, she'll tell me like, hey, I recommended someone to you. They have questions because I know some people are comfortable with like giving out info and some people aren't, and I totally respect that. I
Yeah.
understand it.
'Cause you don't want to train your competition.
Exactly.
We've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, but
Yeah.
we've done that.
And like that's why when I think of it, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, if they like do their business, it's going great, or if they're booked a day, they're gonna recommend me, or I would hope so.
Yeah.
So I actually had a call. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week. Some girl wanted to call me. She's like, hey, like I was recommended to you by this person. Like, do you have a minute to talk? And she was just wanting to like get an idea of like how it works. Where do you start? I'm like, so first of all, I already got it built out. So that part I can't help you with. Like I
Yeah.
got lucky in that
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
I'm like, but I wish I would have been more hands-on, but we totally resanded the trailer and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so freaking glad that we got it built out. Cause I'm like, I could not. My husband hated me. I thought it was so much fun. Cause I'm like, guys always have the fun with like sanding things. Like, I'm glad I get to do it. Gosh, I regretted
I
it
hate
like
sanding.
instantly. Cause I'm like standing and like getting in
I didn't know
It's
that.
so that little fine detail finish work stuff. I was like, I can't do
Yeah.
it.
It's just like
getting-
all the
yeah.
repetition over
Yes.
and over. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
over and over. And I'm like, I'm over it. Like, I'm surprised it's not like this far down into the table. And it is not, you would think. But yeah, so I was telling her, when you're starting off, I'm like, it's all the marketing is like the main thing. Like, that's the hard part because you can definitely build out your mobile bar, but it's like, how are you going to start getting your clients?
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm like, what I would start with while it's getting built out, if that's the route you want to go, is definitely do a standalone because then you can do like little parties, like get your name out there, like
Instead of doing a mobile
well,
bar?
while the mobile bar is getting like fixed up because it's cheaper,
Oh, yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen like so many DIYs of like
Yeah.
just a standalone bar. You go to Home Depot and get things real quick.
Is it mostly weddings, or do you do a lot of other events? Is it like
Yeah, I do mainly weddings, but there's nothing I don't say no to. Like
Yeah.
we've done again.
We've
I've
established
done,
this.
yeah, I've done some public events. Yeah,
like company
a
parties,
vintage market.
that type of
I
thing?
want to start doing company parties. I've done like vintage markets and stuff. So much fun. I'm like, hey guys, I'm here, standalone. You want both of them? We're here.
Yeah.
You know, but I would love to do that. And I know some people like just want to do like public events. There's some people that just like to stay like doing weddings, company
Yeah.
events, like
Their little niche.
yeah. And then there's some that don't offer to provide the alcohol. Like I understand because you know you have that liability of like if you overserve, like then it comes back falls on you kind of deal because you're serving,
Yeah.
and we purchase the alcohol, and I understand that, but I think that's not a lot of people do that where they're offering to provide it. So that's something that like makes us stand apart, and other mobile bars stand apart. But you know, if someone wanted to start off, I would definitely say start with the standalone because it's so simple to make, and you know you get the idea of like making the cocktails, like having a line of people, whether you make it small or big, like it can be whatever you want, but you're getting that hands-on experience versus building out the trailer and you decide like, oh my gosh, this is too much. I just can't handle it.
So what's the standalone look like? Is it fold out, or how does that work?
It's probably the size of our little booth here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, I
And
love
you just
it.
load it on a trailer and then like unload it when you get
There
there.
are actually different like panels to it. So we have like the whole box and then two top ones that go on. So one that's actually like, what would you call it? The surface of it, where you'd come up to the bar, the countertop, and then we have where we like make our cocktails on the bottom, like another
okay.
shelf. It's so nice, and it's still spacious. Yeah.
Huh.
Very cool. So do you have like a max amount of people that you can have at an event? Like if it's over like say 500 people, like, or
That's a big wedding.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
big
I would say
wedding.
like that'd probably be like a public event.
Yeah.
And we've had people that have reached out
It
to
didn't
us.
sound that big when I said
Yeah.
it, but I said 500.
Remember, I
All of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute.
yeah.
She says yes to everything.
Yes,
So-
that's true. You know, I'm like, I would probably just throw in the standalone at that point for that. But, you know, we've done like public events. I want to do bigger events like that are more people because I'd rather be busy than not busy.
Yeah.
And I always plan for like, if someone's telling me for a vintage market, like, oh, there's anywhere from like, you know, 2,000 to 5,000. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to plan like an excessive amount ahead, you know? And I get there and there's not that many people. And
Or
I'm
like only 10 people drink.
Mhm.
Like,
Well, I did a vintage market and they didn't have us like at the entrance. They had us like in a completely different area that people didn't even know we were there.
oh no.
Yeah. And I thought, I was like, I parked under the tree. I was like, dude, we have a good spot here. And I'm like, we should have been in the sun all the way over there in the
You
entrance.
gotta start bringing samples out to everybody.
It's funny because I was thinking of doing that. Like, I thought that would be a great idea to do.
Costco samplers.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Be like, just follow me.
Well, we had like a full size keg. I was telling people, I'm like, you know what? I do not want to take this keg home. We're like $2 beers. We had a long line. And I'm like, yes, getting rid of this keg. I don't want to take it home. Like,
I didn't even think about that. All the leftover
Yeah.
stuff too.
well, and that's the thing. Like, when I plan for like an excessive amount. Like, if someone tells me like 150, I'm going to add like maybe another, 10, 15 people. Because
Yeah.
we do it like, okay, the first hour, we guesstimate that one person will have 2 cocktails and then one after that. And then, like I said, percentages are like so critical, but it's hard because, you know, if you go up to the bar with like a group of people, they're like, oh, try this. They will stop drinking beer and start moving to the cocktails.
Oh.
And it freaks me out because I'm like, are we going to have enough? Oh my gosh.
You're like, no, I
they
had you
swapped
down
over.
for beer.
Yeah. No, you had a beer
You put
first.
that
You're cut
cocktail
off.
down.
That's where you're going. Yeah. Like, and that's something that scares me. And my husband hates it because we will have like almost full kegs still left.
Wow.
And I'm like, they would just go to waste because they're in my garage. And I'm like, I don't know people to like be like, hey, come over. You want some beer? Like,
That wouldn't
I didn't
happen
know
in
that
our
many
area.
people. In that case, I know who to call for next time because I'm like, I don't know who I would talk to about this. Like, at the time, I didn't know these Costco people quite yet, like my Costco friends. And now I'm like, oh my God, I need to get rid of this. We had like,
So
what?
there's an after party then.
There's
Oh,
an after-
always. Are you
Oh,
kidding
wow.
me? But because, you know, I pick up the keg or they'll give it to me and they're like, oh, you know, the night's done. And if I picked it up, I'm like, dang, I have to take it back. But
Yeah.
it's like full. I'm like, I am not coming back. It'll be returned when I come back to Central Oregon, you know? So, like, I'll have it in my garage. And they're like so heavy. These
Yeah.
things are heavy.
Yeah.
Especially when they're still full. I'm like, ugh, there goes all that
You're
beer
like,
to
I
waste.
just tapped this.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. That's how I feel sometimes.
So what's the thing you're doing to your trailer right now? What's the upgrade that you're doing?
So last year we sanded it all down, and it used to be like a dark wood color, and now it's like lighter, and it blends so much better with the trailer. She looks so good now. Like she looks so good. She got a facelift.
You got a name
and
for
everything.
her? Yeah.
Yes, her name is Squeezy. Like yes, and it's on the front too. Like the previous owners, I'm always like, yeah, Tipsy, but I'm like, no, her name is Squeezy. It says it up there. I don't think a lot of people see it too. It's like almost hidden. It blends in with the trailer. Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, so we are doing the backsplash. We want to like completely redo it. I low-key want to get like wallpaper that has lemons on it. But I don't know if that'd be too much. But I'm like, dude, I want to hit it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I have so many Wayfair like saved like wallpaper. I can't make up
They're
my
like,
mind.
did you forget something?
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm coming back.
I know. My husband's like, just pick one. He gets so annoyed with me. He's like, okay, just, yeah, I like it. I'm like, you're not even looking at my phone right now. Like, this one? And I'm like, I'll call my mom. And I'm like FaceTime. I'm like, Mom, what do you think of this? She's like, and she's like, you already like sent that to me like 3 times. I'm like, I don't know what to choose. Like, so we're doing
decision.
Yeah, we're
it's
doing
gonna be
that.
there for a long time. I get it.
Exactly. And it's so hard because I'm like, I'm kind of indecisive, but I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, like, I want to be 100% confident about it, you know. And then we're gonna redo the floors as well as put in some cupboards.
Fun.
Yep.
So, do you have any plans to like expand it all? Have like
Bring on
multiple?
Tipsies.
I want to.
Yeah.
That's like the goal for me. I would love to do that.
Tipsy too.
Yeah.
Tipsy too. Squeezy too.
Yeah, there you go.
Squeezy too.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I tell my husband, I'm like, look at this trailer, let's do it. And he's like, you have one already. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like,
That's the
there I
hard
go
part about
again.
expanding is like it's out of your sight and like, okay, we're gonna have 2 events going on at the same time and I can't see what's happening at the other one.
That's one thing that freaks me out.
Yeah.
My cousin's wedding's coming up, and we have a wedding right like the day before. And I'm like, oh, and he's like, I can stay and do it. I'm like, no, you're not staying. I'm like, you're going to my cousin's wedding. Like,
Yeah.
no, because we have to go to California. And I'm like, do I trust someone to run it? Like, it scares me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not that confident yet with like, no offense to anybody out there that I'm hiring
Yeah.
on, but I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just weird not being there
It's
now
your
that it's like
baby.
mine.
It's like your yeah. Like you have ownership in it. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd probably be that person to put a camera in it somewhere. Like, is it going okay? Like, is everything okay? Like,
You're
are you
watching- you're
drinking
watching
on
on
the
your
job?
phone?
Like, I probably would.
Yeah.
I'd do it to my
You're doing
dogs
that
with the
wrong.
ring. I would do that. Like,
You poured too much.
yeah.
They'd be like, what? What's
Redo
happening?
that. You over poured. You spilled. Like,
They're like, go on vacation. What are you
they'd be
doing?
like, you know what? We're leaving. I'd be like, just kidding. Come back.
Oh my goodness.
I guess if you train if you're confident in your training, you could train
Mhm.
someone up and you trust them enough, then yeah, I can see where it's like now I could be the ones that are out
Yeah.
in the audience and my company's there
hmm
doing it all and I can just enjoy it.
And I think one thing that like scares me too is because it's like, are you going to be able to say no if you need to? Because if I could barely say, not that I've had to say no,
Yeah.
but if I can barely say no, is someone going to be confident and to be like, no, we can't, we can't serve you? Like, if I haven't had to do that yet, but if
Yeah.
it comes to that point, would you be able to do it?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be that person, like Tara did it once and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God she had to do it, not me. Like, 'cause
You're
I'm
like,
I don't want to be
"How
that
was it? Are
person.
you okay?"
Yeah, I know. She's like, it was fine. And I'm like, I got this. And I'm like, thank God I didn't have to do it again. But I'm like, you got this, girl. You got this.
Say, hey, we get serving more because you're just a VIP.
Yeah. They'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, we can give it to them. I'm like, they won't taste that there's nothing in it. We'll do that. We'll just serve them. And it's like, sucker, there's nothing
Ooh,
in
that's a good
there.
idea.
I
It's
didn't
good.
even think
Yeah.
of that.
Just
Like
switch
a
it
little
out.
Yep.
mocktail.
Mm-hmm. They don't know. They love their mocktail, though. They
Oh.
just didn't know it.
Are you guys getting into doing like more mock? Because that's kind of the thing now. People
Yeah.
are like, we were talking about that earlier, the mocktails.
Yeah, we had somebody on, they have a brewery, and he said one of the things that, like, the challenges they're facing right now is, like, non-alcoholic drinks
Yeah.
are really becoming a bigger thing.
Mhm.
And so I was like, so it sounds like the profile of the drinker has just changed. She's like, it has.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to figure out how to kind of, combat that so they can still serve, like,
Yeah.
everybody.
We have that as an option. Like at weddings, we'll have people that are like pregnant. They're
Mhm.
so cute, but they'll come up. They're like, "Oh, do you guys have anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, we could just go ahead and do like a mule without the Tito's in it, So we'll just go ahead and put like extra like syrup or whatever we're doing, For instance, like I think we're doing like a blackberry mule,
Yeah.
and we just put more of like our puree that we like blended
Oh,
up with
that's a good
blackberries.
idea.
Yeah,
Because you
just-
said you did like a bar mitzvah before.
yeah, we did the virgin daiquiris.
Yeah.
And they loved it. And then I think the parents loved it more though, because I'm like, I didn't see that kid come up once until like the end. And I'm like, you know, I think your parents just wanted us here, and I'm okay with it. Like, it was so awesome. Yeah. But we did that. And one thing I'd like to do is more like mocktails as well. But I feel like it's hard because I don't think people want to spend the money to be like, oh, let's bring someone in to do like mocktails, you
Yeah.
know?
To bring you like an orange juice.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's funny that you said orange juice. We did a wedding once, and my husband's like, this lady comes up and she goes, can I get a screwdriver? And he's all leaning on the counter. He's like, oh, we don't have that. And I'm like, oh, honey, the orange juice is right there. I'm like, babe, orange juice and vodka. And he's like, oh, yeah, we do right
he's
here,
like,
actually.
come back,
Yeah.
come back.
And he's like, why couldn't you just say that? It was like the funniest thing ever, though. I'm like, I know there's so many names for like the simplest things that I'm like, can you just say that? Because like I said, I don't have bartending experience, but I'm like, thank God I did my research. I feel like I
Yeah.
have flashcards because I'm like, okay, yep, got that right. You know,
That's a
what
good
things
idea.
might be. Yeah.
Well, and I've seen like at the stores they have non-alcoholic, like this tastes like a traditional like tequila or bourbon or something like that, but it's all non-alcoholic.
They're hit or miss. It's like
I have not seen that.
I saw them at Walmart.
Yeah.
So they've got like a whole like line where it's like they've got tequila, vodka, gin,
Here
whiskey.
goes the mocktails.
There
Like
you
you were
go.
saying
Yeah,
right there.
so it's like you can get the same taste as your like
Yeah.
traditional mixed drink, just without the alcohol.
Or is it
Yeah,
that-
we
is it
had one that
Heineken?
was like, it was a sampler one, and they said, oh, this tastes like an old fashioned.
that one was really bad because they made it out of wine.
Yeah.
That was like, try this wine that tastes like bourbon, and Brian's like, okay, and he tastes it, and he's like, oh, that's so gross.
No.
He's like, do you want some? I'm like, no.
No, there's no
Let me see.
alcohol in it.
I know, but it was made from wine. It was like non-alcoholic
yeah.
wine.
A bunch of spices and stuff in there. Like, oh, it was so gross.
It was really gross. It
That's
was bad.
funny.
Yeah. So
And that's a problem. Like, I'll go out. Like, I think we don't go out all the time. We did once because we were waiting for a dinner reservation.
yeah.
And we're like, oh, yeah, let's order this. And you order it thinking it's going to taste like yours. And I'm like, ugh, like, what is this?
That's so hard because like you have like an idea in your head what the drink's going to taste like,
Yeah.
and then you order it. Because I'm not joking. I have like 2 drinks that I'll order,
Yeah.
and for the longest time, I just had to get used to it wasn't going to be the way that I thought it was going to be, and I just
Mhm.
needed to be okay with it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Brian's like, stop ordering that.
Her 2 drinks are margaritas or lemon drops.
Yep.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I
people
didn't
screw up
like
lemon,
drops.
I do like lemon drops.
You
I don't like the
do?
flavor infused ones.
Oh,
but,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I like
okay.
the traditional ones.
Yes.
So no, lemon drops are my favorite.
Yeah. Cadillac margarita. That's-
Cadillac margarita. Yeah.
I'm doing that for
But this one is
70th
like
birthday coming up.
I just need her to follow me everywhere we go.
I'm just gonna
I'll be like,
randomly
"Just a
like
minute, I'm
behind a
coming."
bush real quick. Shh, here you go.
You don't see me. I'm
Drop
not
the pin
here.
of your location, girl. I'm here.
That's so funny. So, what are your plans like moving forward with the Tipsy Lemon?
That's a great question. Let me sit on that a bit.
Have you had any issues since you've opened up with like getting your brand out there and being recognized?
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I recently it was brought to my attention by a friend that someone else opened up a bar with my name, like not too far from me. Yeah,
That
that's
still
all they
blows
add.
my mind.
Yeah, but they added like Tipsy Lemon Mobile Bar. But I'm like, in our description, all of us are mobile bar, honey. Like, you know, we have the wheels. We can go anywhere. So when I got that message, I was like instantly so nervous. Like my heart just dropped because I'm like, I've worked so hard, you know? And I was just like, this
You
is
feel
one
like
of
you
those
just
times I
got
was
scammed.
crying. Yeah. I'm like, this isn't true. Like, this isn't how I got so hot. Like, I'm like, I didn't even run. Like, I was like so hot. I was like touching my
I don't
face.
even
like,
run.
I know. I'm like, I was hot. I was like, oh my gosh. The last time I felt like this was like running like years ago, you know? And I was like, I was so nervous. Like, because I didn't know what to do, you know? I didn't know what to do in this situation because it's never happened before. This
Yeah.
isn't something I thought would happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how to like, what my next step was. I was like crying. I called my mom. Like I was crying to my husband because I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I've never been in this situation. I didn't think it would happen. So I
It's
like,
like identity theft.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
all of a sudden-
kind
There's,
of.
there's so
I
much
felt
fruit
like
out there. Why
that.
did you choose Tipsy Lemon? It could have been
Yeah.
anything else.
and you know, like I understand like it's a cool name, but like, you know, when you do your research and stuff, like
Yeah.
you go on Instagram, you're like looking at names or, you know,
Whenever
an
you start
idea.
off a business, that's the first thing you do is like, okay, we're gonna think up the name. Does
Yes.
anybody else have this?
Yeah. And you see, that's where I think like I was really devastated because I was like, what do I do? I was like literally like,
Did you feel like you had to change your name all of a sudden?
no, I was
No.
just like, I felt like now I'm like, no, I have to like get my name out there. I need people to know that this is me. Like, I'm that person, like, if something like this happens, like, it doesn't like bring me down. Like, it pushes me more.
Okay.
Like, I used to do flag football, and like when a call would get called, I'm like, oh no, like, you think that's gonna like bring me down? No, I come back harder
Yeah.
with things like that, you know? And I felt like it almost pushed me to do more because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and get like I'm gonna have people leave me reviews. I'm gonna give them like a tote bag for helping me out. Like, I didn't know what to do, and I'm still like kind of, it still is like so surreal to me that it happened, you know, and I'm still kind of like working out like the next steps for that. And I reached out to like my mobile bar community, like, what would you guys do in this situation? Like, I don't know what to do. And people were just like, not cool. Like, you know, you're coming into
They're
the
like
industry.
mad for you.
Yeah, like, you know, how do you come into this industry that, you know, like we said, like, community over competition kind of deal. Like, you know, I also wanted them to be aware, like, you know, this is me. Like, this is like, they're not me as well. So it's like, I wasn't trying to like badmouth, but I also wanted them to be aware of like what I was dealing with. And I didn't know what to do. Like,
What do you do?
exactly. I'm like, still like, I feel like I'm still stuck with that process. Cause I don't, like I said, I don't like to be, not that it's mean, but like,
It's
you
your
know.
business. It's
Yeah,
your
and
livelihood.
that's the thing that's hard for me because I'm like, I don't want to be on bad standings with anyone, but at the same time I'm like, okay, I have to remember it's like my business. Like, you know, like, do I reach out? Like, what do I do? Like,
Is there
you
any
know?
chance they didn't know? Do you think there's any chance they didn't
Well,
know?
you know, someone had reached out on my behalf, like, to these girls, and they had said, like, oh, like, great minds had think alike. Like, we didn't know until afterwards, but, you know, they're in Central Oregon. We're here. And to me, I'm like, but we're mobile. Like,
Yeah.
we can be anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter, like,
For
where you're
5
at.
states over, that'd be one
That'd
thing.
be, yeah. And, like, you know, that kind of, like, devastated me, too, because I'm like, I would have changed my name as soon as, like, even if,
I'd be embarrassed.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Okay, let's just say, like, they really didn't know. Like, if someone were to reach out to me, I'm changing my name. Like, you know, like.
You do the right thing.
Yeah, like, I guess that's just what I would do. Like, that's who I am, the kind of person that I am. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. It's hard for me to think, like, they're young. I'm young. You know, you're on social media. Social media is everything, you know, like, that you wouldn't see it or it wouldn't come across when you're looking at, like, places near you or inspiration. Like, I know that's what we did. We're like, okay, who's around us? Like, you know, what does their websites look like? Like, what have they done? Where have they gone? You know, what do they do and offer? You know, because, like I said, some people offer purchasing liquor. Some people don't. Like, you know, and that's, you know, all good and stuff. But when I was like looking into it, I was like so nervous, and I had people messaging me like, hey, are you doing a styled shoe? And I'm like, yes, why? And like my heart is like beating. Like, I get like, my anxiety was like through the roof because I was like, why, what's going on? And like, oh my God, I started crying because I was like so like overwhelmed. Like, why are they asking me this? Like, is something going on that I don't know? And oh my God, like, I don't ever want anyone to be in my shoes when it comes to this, but you know, like, she's like, no, I just want to make sure it was the right Tipsy Lemon. And I'm like, oh my God, like, that was it. But like, oh, like, my anxiety was through the roof, like, with it. It still is, like, because it doesn't seem real.
Doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like anytime we've like started a business, the first thing we do is we do our research with making sure nobody else has that name.
Yeah.
Like,
And
that just seems
I
like
like
what you do.
Yeah, and then we went and like trademarked the name because I'm like, oh, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
Like, we're trademarking, and I'm like, okay, well, what do I do from here? You know, I'm like I said, I don't want to be that person, but like you said, it's your livelihood. You kind of have to take the correct steps that you need to.
And it's that conflict because like you don't like the human side of you is like, I don't want to cause a
100.
problem. You know, maybe there's room for both of us. You know, that sort of thing. But then you're like, wait a minute, no.
Yeah, I'm like, I've worked really hard. So then I think, like, if I'm getting vendor referrals and, like, you know, just referrals from anyone, like, what if you go on Google and you see 2 websites? Like, who are you going to click on? Like, how are you going to know the difference?
Yeah.
You know, like, I wouldn't know the difference.
And
like,
we wouldn't want to be those people that like, well, I don't want to be confused with them either.
Exactly.
And if I'm coming into us,
What if they're really bad?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
all of a sudden-
there you go. I didn't even think about that, honestly. Whoa.
Like,
This
what
is
if they're just
you hit
trashing
me
your
with it.
name out
Yeah.
there?
Well, and, like, I've had, like, wedding planners, like, oh my God, I love my wedding planners, like in Central Oregon mainly, because that's who I work with the most. Victoria, one of the wedding planners, like, she's always like, oh my God, we saw that you were going to be here at this wedding. I'm so excited for your cocktails. And I'm like, I love when she says that, because I'm like, gosh, like, all these lime squeezing are paying off. Like, my husband hates it, but like, we're there chopping all these limes, squeezing until like midnight, and he hates it. But I'm like,
You're like, I'm building our future.
yeah. I'm like, it has to be as fresh as it can. And I should probably do it maybe like 2 days before, but I'm doing it the day before. I'm like, fresh is fresh here, you know? Like, I'm not buying margarita mix. Like, there's nothing, like, no, I am going to the U.S. Chef store. We are juicing limes, and there we go again with, like, numbers, like, how much we have to get or make and squeeze, and gosh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's so worth it, like, when I get there, because people are so excited. They're happy to be at a wedding, you know? So that's one thing that makes me excited about it. Yeah.
And there's drinks.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Free. Yeah.
I love it. So do you ever do like events like Saturday, Sunday, like back to back sort of thing?
I'm so excited because I have one coming up. I forgot if it was June or July, but I have a wedding coming up, and we're doing a Friday, Saturday wedding.
Yeah.
So like, what is it, like pre-wedding, or what is that called? Like rehearsal.
Rehearsal.
Yeah, wedding
I was
rehearsal.
Like,
I'm like pre-wedding. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, so we're doing that for them, and they're so cool. They're from Colorado. I'm like, that's so cool that you guys are coming here. Like, I think it's so cool that people come to Oregon, like, to get married, and it's at La Loma Lodge.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is so awesome. I've been there before, and when I got married, like, I think because I've gone to so many weddings, like, it's filled that, like, void of having to have a huge wedding, because I've been to all these places and I don't have to pay for it. Like, I'm getting paid to be there. Like, it's like
you
so
get the
cool.
Experience.
Yes.
It, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's really me, but it's not, you know? Like,
I think we forget how cool Oregon is because we live here. It's like,
yeah,
it's a destination wedding place
it's
for
like
a lot of people.
gorgeous. And I remember we were in, gosh, I forgot where in Central Oregon, and someone's like, yeah, like, you know, I think it was like after like their wedding, like the next day, and people were leaving, like a goodbye kind of thing, and they hired us for it. And she's like, yeah, like, we've seen Bill Gates out here before. And I'm like, that is what? He used to live here? When? Like, I guess I don't really know, but she's like, yeah, when I was younger. And I'm like, that is so crazy. But it's so beautiful. Like, there's so many different places in Oregon, and it's like, when I'm able to go to these places, I'm like, I've never been there. But the drive, it's like so pretty. I'm like, my phone doesn't capture it good enough. I'm trying to do a time lapse. I'm like, well, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, these bugs are hitting this window. It doesn't look cute, you know.
Every time we go over the pass,
yes,
Carrie likes it when we go through Sisters.
Yes,
she'll film like the horses, you know, the metal horses.
The roundabout.
No, it's like when you get through Sisters, and then you get on that straight stretch, and it's like they're metal horses that are just in a row. Every single time. I'm always like,
yes, because the landscape, like, you know, it looks so gorgeous.
Oh, I love it.
Yep,
I love it.
Yeah, that's why I love that we're mobile, because we're like everywhere.
Well, and one of the cool things with the Valley too is like when people are moving here, the one thing I always tell them, I'm like, the coolest thing about the Valley is like you're like an hour to 2 hours away from 4 completely different types of environments. Yeah, like you can go over the pass, you can head towards Portland.
Well, we moved from Medford, so like Southern Oregon.
Yeah.
So being here, my husband, to like reel me in for the move.
To reel you in?
No, I kid you not. This is how he was selling me. He's like, we're an hour away from Portland. We can go to the coast, and I love, like, I didn't know the coast was cold because I'm originally from Long Beach. So I'm like, we're going to the beach. Yay. Hello. I learned the hard way. You don't take shorts. You don't take like your bathing suit. Like, I learned the hard way. I did not know this. Okay. So that's why I was like, why are they saying the coast? You mean like we're going to the beach? Oh no. I learned.
It's the coast.
I learned.
You look at the water. You don't get in there.
Yeah.
I still get in.
Do you?
Ask my husband. I still get in. I'm a water baby. I will be in. I'll be freezing at first. Let it numb out.
Yeah.
And then we'll go in a little
like your
more.
Ice plunge.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't do ice plunges, but for that I would. Yes. The beach, absolutely.
I love it. Oh.
You get stuff at the coast very often?
No. I don't feel like
you should go to
I've
the
gotten
Seafood
a
Wine
lot.
Festival.
You see, and I didn't know about like all these festivals. I would do it. I'd be like, Brian, you want to go with me? I got a little portable heater.
Like, do you
okay,
have a light ring that I could like put my face up against?
I got the portable heater. I got you.
There you go. Wow, why didn't we think of it? I don't think we knew how cold it was going to be.
Yeah. We didn't. We didn't plan for it.
Is there a lot of people that show up to that?
Oh, huge.
Like there's so many people that come.
Really?
They have it's over by Rogue Brewing, isn't it? Down there. Yeah. So they just have this huge tent out there, and it's all of these vendors for like
that
2
is
days.
so awesome.
Yeah.
I think it is. So, and it's every February. So
I'll definitely have
I
to
know
check
when
that
we
out for
had
next year.
the mobile photo booth, we got hooked up with the Oregon Wedding Showcase. And so they do a big one in Salem. And so we did quite a bit of networking there with a lot of the vendors. And then I know there's like
I think a chowder vendor kept us from getting hypothermia because we were just like sitting there with a little tiny bowl of soup.
That is so funny. You're just holding the bread at that point.
I know,
or the
just
bowl. You go get another one. It's
We look
going
like a little
down.
refugee just kind of sitting there like freezing out there.
so bad. I'm cold just thinking about it. But
That
there's
is
like the
so
Oregon
funny.
events and festivals, I think, also. Like
There are so many things that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I'm like,
Oregon has so many.
and like so many expos. Like we did the Portland Expo, I want to say like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I didn't know there were some here. There's like so many. I'm like, goodness, at the beginning of the year, this is when all the expos and like wedding and just like showcasing of things are like going on. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to remember all these. I was like screenshotting away. I'm like, okay, this one for next year, this one for next year. I'm like, wait, is that the same one? And my husband goes, why do you have so many screenshots? I'm like, because I have to remember these things. Like, I have too many photos.
I'm building a
Yeah.
legacy.
Do you want to be a part of this or not? Okay, like, hop on.
I love it. Well, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's cool hearing like the whole journey of it too. I didn't realize that you had bought it from somebody else. I thought you just
Yeah.
had the idea and like built it all out.
It's funny because they had bought like their husband. So they're two best friends, Diana and Katie.
Yeah.
They're awesome. I love them. I still like reach out to them and like we'll ask them for things, you know, and they're
Was it
just
like
so
good
helpful.
timing? Like you just like, you're like I want to get
It was-
into this, and they
it's
were
funny.
just ready to do
Oh
it.
yeah, the reasoning why it's funny. You're gonna laugh. So they're two best friends. They each bought like trailers so they can go camping, and their husbands, you know, of course they know each other because they're best. Guess they got to be best friends, you know. And they had bought these trailers, and they're like, "You guys need to sell the business. You said you were gonna do it this many years ago. Like we bought the trailers. We're just collecting dust." And they're like, "Fine, fine." And they're like, "No, like." We need to do this because every weekend they were booked. So they're like, yeah, this is the reason why we're selling is because our husbands like say
The
we bought the
husbands
campers.
ruined it.
Yeah, like they're like, we bought these campers for what? Like, you know, you guys never have time because you guys are always doing, you know, events. Like, what are we doing? So it's funny because I follow them on Instagram and they're in the summer, they're camping, they're having a great time now, and I'll see them.
Aw.
Yeah, they actually went on vacation together, and I just love seeing like their friendship and how they like went along and like went about things. Like, but it's just so cool. I'm like, I love the story that they did with like going into it and how much like love they put into it
Oh.
because it shows. And that's why like sometimes like, oh my gosh, like I want to live up to that potential for them kind of because I'm like they did such a great job with it and I want to continue it.
How long did they have it before you bought it?
Since 2017, I want to say for about 7 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you start a business, you don't want to see it kind of
Fizzle out.
You
Yep.
want to see it kind of continue on past.
And
Past
that's
when
one
you
thing I want
started
to
it.
do, like not only like for myself, like, but for them a little bit. Like, you know, there's always like the
That
reasons
pride
why.
factor, yeah.
Yeah, like for the reasons like for doing things, and I think like that plays like a factor into it as well. Like not only for myself or like my family, my husband and stuff, but like also because it's like I'm doing it for them because they did such a great job. I want to continue doing that, and it's
Yeah.
like. It's not something that you tell them all the time. When someone starts something, you don't just say like, hey, thanks. Like we should, but it's like, I don't. But in my head, I know that's how I feel,
Yeah.
you know, and in my heart. Yeah. Because I'm like, if it wasn't for them, I would have never had this opportunity. Like, who knows where I would have been.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your
So
story.
how do we support you and get your name out there?
Oh, well, sir, let me tell you something. Follow the Tipsy Lemon. Just the Tipsy Lemon.
The
Or
Tipsy
Tipsy
Lemon.
Lemon.
That's
Tipsy
it.
Lemon. I say
TipsyLemon.com?
the, but it's Tipsy Lemon.
Okay.
Yes, and TipsyLemon.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Leave us reviews. I'll send you a tote. Send me your address.
Isn't it funny how much reviews matter now?
Oh
with
my! I did
everything?
not notice how much reviews were when people say, "Oh, leave us a review." I'm like, "Yeah." You know, when you go to restaurants or whatever, you're like, "Yeah, I'll do it." I'm like, get distracted. Now I'm like, "I will leave you a review, sir,"
Yeah.
because I'm like, now I see how critical it is. Like,
Yeah.
like how reviews are. Like, it's so crazy to me.
It's like if you don't have, like, if somebody looks you up and you have 0 reviews or like 0 online presence, it's
I
like
do
you're
that.
not a real business.
Yeah,
You're not
I
a real
do that.
business,
Like
yeah.
when I'm looking at things, I'm like, oh, no reviews. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I
Like,
know.
Next, pass, maybe another one.
It's like the lifeblood of our businesses
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And the more you get, it's like, oh, because you know someone's going to leave a bad review, no matter how great of a
I
job
am
you do.
like so nervous for that.
But
It would hurt my heart.
it's like,
I
as
think-
long as you have 200 good ones and you got one
Mhm.
bad one, then people kind of know. People are like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that was just some crazy person.
Yep.
That.
I had the hardest time. I had a review left by a client that everything went great. It was the best thing. The review itself was great. And it was like, out of 5 stars, what do you rate it? And they were like, everything was perfect. She did amazing. We absolutely love her. We'll use her in the future. 4 stars. And I'm like, where's my other star?
You're like, I
Brian's
think your
like,
finger clicked the wrong
I know.
star, honey.
And I was like, I was crushed.
Yeah.
I was like, did I do something wrong? Brian's like, there's just some people that will never give that 5th star.
That's true.
And I'm like,
They're like, there's never
that's
perfect.
hard.
So they're like, we're going to give you the 4.
I know. I was like, but your word said that should be 5.
Yes.
Dispute it.
Yeah, there you go. Dude, that's something I would do.
I need to dispute this review. No, they're lovely. I love them.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for
And
having me.
We can't
I'm
wait to
so
have you
excited.
back
Yes,
and
of
see what other
course.
creations you make.
Yes.
I love it.
I will definitely be back, whether that means here or like just randomly show up to your house.
She's
If
just
I get
gonna
the
follow
address.
us. Be like,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here.
Well, we
She said
definitely want to
we're
have
doing
you up
this.
for like an event.
Yeah.
because
Yes,
I think
definitely
having
let me
some sort of
know.
like company event would be awesome, especially
Yes,
at our
I'm here
place.
for it. Yes.
I love it. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and best of luck for growing Tipsy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Love it.
All right.